So if you're on the left, I get your perspective. I mean, everybody has different perspectives. It's not all the same thing, but in general perspective, I get the idea of much more people killed as a result of healthcare denying, them being denied coverage. I get the idea of it's kind of silly to focus, in some ways, on this one man who got killed while ignoring thousands and thousands who are dead because of profit incentives of these insurance companies. I get it. I get also that, many of you will be very much against what this guy did. You're not supporting it, you condemn it or whatever. But in your mission to, push for policies that are important, like healthcare, this is a great opportunity potentially to have that conversation, right? The media is kind of, their hand is forced. It's a big story, they're talking about it. So you can leverage this to get, people talking and thinking about healthcare stuff where otherwise you would not. I mean, if you were just in a vacuum talking about healthcare, it wouldn't have the same impact as it does now. I get it. I totally get it, man. And I could see the sense in the strategy. However, here's the problem. If you don't believe in having things in a country where, people get to be judge, jury, and executioner on the streets, if that's not the society you want to live in, then this strategy has a huge flaw. And I'll tell you what that flaw is. The flaw is that you are incentivizing murder if you decide to take advantage of this opportunity to focus on something that is quite noble. I think that should be focused on. I think it can do a lot of good to have those conversations, which can lead to policy changes, which can help a lot of people and save a lot of lives. I get it. Just think about, get outside of that bubble and look at the bigger picture. A lot of people are watching, right? A lot of people are watching. And there's some people who are inclined to do what this guy did, watching him do it, and then have people donate to his legal fund, people sort of having sort of a soft side for him type of thing. And also, more importantly, getting this conversation about healthcare. I think we're sending a message that this is an effective strategy. Right? This guy killed someone, and as a result, he got people talking about healthcare. I guarantee a ton of people don't realize, a ton of people are now realizing some really bad things about healthcare. Not that they weren't aware that there were issues, but some of the details, the grotesque details of what's been happening, they now know of it. So that's a success, right? So why wouldn't others be incentivized to do the same thing, right? Some would say because, you murder someone, you get in trouble. I mean, look at this guy. He could spend the rest of his life in prison or whatever. Or you could think you're smart enough, like most criminals do, and think you can get away with it. Or you're maybe on your dying, your dying bed or whatever. You're dying because of healthcare. You're told you only have 2 months to live, so it's like, okay, whatever. I'm gonna go to jail, and I'm dying anyway. How many people are in that, ironically, how many people in that situation right now where they have nothing to lose, right? So again, if you're in your bubble, you may say, okay, so what's the big deal? Not that I support murder, but I mean, look how many thousands of people are dying because of these types of CEOs. So who cares that a very tiny fraction of the population are now threatened? Here's the issue with that. Big picture, get out of your bubble. Right? You're incentivizing this not just for the matter that you care about. Like, you care about healthcare, I care about healthcare, right? I think we both benefit from people talking about this stuff. But what about other people who have other things that they're concerned about? For example, MAGA believes that you guys on the left are a threat to this country. You are traitors, you're communists, you're destroying our kids, you're letting our border be invaded. I mean, America is going to be absolutely devastated by, you guys. That's the MAGA perspective. So, I mean, considering that in their minds, a lot of people are gonna die or be destroyed in some way because of woke policies, right? I mean, you could laugh at it, but MAGA really believes a lot of the stuff they're talking about. They really believe the drinking kids' blood, whatever the crazy stuff, right? They believe it. I mean, you don't have to get that crazy. Just a clear and present danger that they believe the left represents. And he would use terms like enemy. I think Trump himself has. So what if they decide to start taking out, left-wingers, especially knowing that Trump is coming into office? Trump is he is MAGA, right? So you have a MAGA president. So why would MAGA be afraid to go and do public assassinations of, left-wingers that they believe are a threat to the country? I mean, you see the kind of people he's putting in. It's going to be a MAGA government. He's putting MAGA, all over his administration, intelligence, law enforcement. So if I'm a crazy MAGA guy, I would think, me personally, if I were a crazy MAGA guy who had any idea of potentially doing violence, absolutely under a Trump administration, I'm going to feel emboldened. And I might even feel genuine patriotism. I feel like, this is 1776, whatever. So, being a kind of person who I'll die for my country. So even if Trump and his administration don't back me up, willing to go to jail, willing to die. I mean, if there was a certain list of people before that this, that sort of fit that category. Now combine this guy killing the CEO, the response from the left, right? Trump coming into administration and all the people he's putting up. The list is not going to be much higher of people who are going to turn to violence. So, as they say, be careful what you ask for. If you don't condemn public assassination in the strongest terms, especially in the context of the times that we're in, about what's about to happen with the government. I mean, this guy, we're about to have a president who's about to potentially pardon people who assaulted police officers. So what do you think he's going to do if someone kills a left-winger that they deem to be a terrorist because of their woke ideology, communist something, and they were tweeting stuff and they thought they were working with the Chinese? So even if it comes out that wasn't the case, the person genuinely thought this, so they didn't really mean to, They didn't mean to do something bad. They thought they were protecting their country. You think they would get a pardon? You think they would get it easy? I mean, have we seen this kind of stuff already in red states, right? Like Texas, for example. So I get it, and it is good that we're talking about healthcare. I benefit, you benefit. I think we all benefit from that. But is the benefit worth the cost of living in a society where it's not just the 1% that has to fear for their lives, right? The next public executions might be you guys, the poor and the middle class, right? Unfortunately, killed by other poor and middle class people caught up in a cult. Some would argue that that's going to be the case anyway. Sure, but I think this is not going to help, and I think the effect is not going to be insignificant. So with that, you decide about how you want to handle the situation and whether the juice is worth the squeeze. I mean, perhaps as a way to completely distance yourself from this guy and what he did in the strongest terms and focus purely on let's talk about healthcare. I think that's the least you could do. But if you're going to talk about healthcare and you're going to also be kind of soft in condemning him, you're only going to do it just for, just so people can't say, oh, you're supporting whatever. If you're going to do it in that context, like Trump, like, do you condemn the white supremacy? Who do you want me to condemn? Who do you want me to condemn? Just stuff for you guys to think about. All right? On that note, Allah Akbar!